De Cris, otro de los futbolistas del Cruzeiro. En el medio del campo vamos a ver a Emerson, el jugador del Roma, y a Costa. No empezó como titular Costa en el primer encuentro en el que Brasil perdió con México, lo hizo Rockenbach. Fue titular Costa en el segundo, en el que Brasil ganaba a Perú por 2-0. Ante el buen rendimiento de Costa, Scolari lo mantuvo, pero es que en esta ocasión Rockenbach no puede jugar, y de ahí que Scolari cuente de nuevo con Costa. Por delante de ellos va a estar Alex, el futbolista del Palmeiras, uno de los hombres que ha mantenido mejor nivel en esta Copa América con la selección brasileña, y ya en punta Guilherme, el conocido jugador que estuvo en el Rayo Vallecano de España, y a su lado Denilson, el futbolista del Betis, que ha mejorado su cotización en esta Copa América, sobre todo con sus actuaciones frente a la selección de Perú, en la que marcó el segundo gol, y ante la selección de Paraguay, en la que marcó otro y dio un pase decisivo de gol, el pase que marcó Belletti, que suponía el segundo tanto y el que ponía por delante a los brasileños. ¿Por qué Denilson no ha jugado como titular en los encuentros anteriores? Podríamos preguntarnos, o podrían preguntarse ustedes, ante México y ante Perú. Primero porque estaba Everton. Primero Scolari probó con Jardel y Everton sí que ha funcionado muy bien. En este partido no está porque está lesionado, y al parecer ahí tienen la alineación de los brasileños. Denilson no llegó aquí, según hemos podido enterarnos, porque el preparador físico consideraba decíamos, el preparador físico, que Denilson no estaba para aguantar 90 minutos. Esta es la alineación de Honduras, que enseguida pasaremos a comentarles, y de ahí que Scolari contara con él como un revulsivo del equipo, pero no como titular. Ante el buen momento del jugador, que lo ha hecho muy bien cada vez que ha salido, y por la baja de Everton, hoy Denilson es titular, pero queda la incógnita de qué hará el futbolista del Betis, si confirmará ese buen momento que parece que tiene, o al contrario, esa baja forma física le pasará una factura que no pueda superar. Esos son los colegiados del encuentro, con el paraguayo Ubaldo Aquino como juez principal, y en Honduras el técnico Ramón Madariaga va a contar con valladores en la portería, Ricky García, Medina, Caballero, Pérez en defensa.
Either, so that's going to be a major problem for them.
They must have had an eye on Colombia earlier. They know Uruguay and Mexico are potentially up the road as opponents. Is there a possibility, Tony, that Brazil will overlook Honduras slightly here?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. I'm sure the coach has got them well prepared, but it is a danger that you start looking at who's going to be your semi-final opponents, and it's very important they concentrate on this game. If they do, they'll win, and probably easily.
Thank you. Let's enjoy it. It's our first visit to Manizales. Very high, 7,500 feet up the Estadio Palo Grande, and it looks a full arena for Brazil. Iain Dowie and Iain Crocker for commentary.
It's the holders against the outsiders in the last of the quarterfinals in the Copa America. Brazil have been involved in 5 of the last 6 finals of this illustrious competition. They are not at their best just now, of course, yet here they are, strong favourites to advance to the semi-final stage. Honduras certainly have their work cut out for sure, but they should prove tricky opponents, and they have only conceded 1 goal in the tournament so far, so they'll be looking to keep it tight. Sometimes that is easier said than done against Brazil, even though they did recover from their opening game defeat to Mexico. They still have a lot of work to do, struggling to make it to the World Cup, of course, but there have certainly been signs of hope in their last couple of games.
Yeah, there certainly has, you know. I mean, they've come back amongst the goals, and Denilson's been very much to the fore. He's back in the frame, but it'll be interesting to see who wins the tactical battle tonight. Coach Ramon Madariaga from Honduras, I wonder if he'll stick with his 4-4-2 format, although he has been tinkering with it, and maybe change to go like for like with Brazilians who trust. Scolari, I'm sure, will stay with the 3-5-2, although they don't quite play the same as that, but certainly 3 at the back, which has brought him a bit of solidity and brought him success in the last couple of games. So we'll see if he wins that tactical battle. I've got a funny feeling that Madariaga may have to change his formation just to combat the offensive threat that Brazil will certainly pose.
Ubaldo Aquino is the referee from Paraguay. And he is rather well known in these parts and has probably gone down as a legend in Copa America history too, because a couple of years ago, when the tournament was held in his homeland, he gave 5 penalties in the Argentina-Colombia match, when Martin Palermo of Argentina famously missed 3.
Oh, I've done that in training, but never in games, Ian. So.
Antonio Lopez, one of the Brazilian coaches, of course, the main man Scolari, Big Phil, has to sit in the stand for this one. Likewise, his assistant Flavio Matosa. So probably going down to the kit man or the physio as to who was going to be in charge on the bench tonight.
It's quite amazing when both are sent off, you know, and it'll make a difference. You know, I mean, he's a very passionate man. There's no doubt about Scolari. He makes his very, very vocal comments on the side, and sometimes that makes a difference when you get amongst. You can influence players at times. Although in this rarefied atmosphere tonight, I'm sure it'd be more difficult to be heard than in some other stadiums. But you know, that'll be a blow to them. But I'm sure that Brazil are coming into some sort of form, and I think Honduras got everything to do tonight.
Honduras have reverted to their blue and white stripes for this game. Brazil, of course, in their legendary outfit, although there was some talk that they would try and play in their blue shirts as often as possible after they stopped the rot a little bit by beating Peru in those shirts. But really, you have to have Brazil in this kit, don't you? It's the only one they can wear.
Yes, it's a magnificent kit, I have to say. Unusual colour combination, but it just looks so good. Almost wakes you. When I ever put it on at home in the garden, I always transform to a better footballer.
Well, Brazil have won the last 2 Copa America tournaments. Only Argentina have ever won 3 in a row, and that was way back in the 1940s. So they'll be looking to equal that particular record. But of course, the winners of this semi-final will have to get past the host nation Colombia in fine form in the semi-finals.
And there's straight away the influence of Scolari's, you know, tactical know-how. You know, when Honduras have the ball, he just leaves Guillermo up front in his own, and Denilson Alex sort of play a little bit dropped off him. So, you know, it's almost like a 3-4-2-1 formation they're sort of playing across, you know, with the 4 across the middle being Belletti, Emerson, Eduardo Costa, who's got fantastic energy. Only the 18-year-old from Bordeaux, great energy, and Junior on the left-hand side.
Perez has run it out. Honduras lost to Costa Rica in their opening game of the Copa America, but they recovered to beat Bolivia 2-0 and then struck late on to overcome Uruguay 1-0. Uruguay, of course, as a result of that result, avoided a clash here with Brazil, which might have been part of their plan all along, and they did indeed get past Costa Rica, of course. Denilson, rather crudely taken out. That will be a free kick.
Yeah, David Garr come over there with a rather crude change, but just shows that Denilson, nice and bright, very positive, going on the outside of players, good pace, and then wonderful little nick inside. And here you see Garcamo just step across him, clear foul, and seems to me that the referee's a little bit more lenient with the yellow cards in the last few games.
Yes, after a stack of cards in the group stages, they're certainly calmed down on that front, although there might have been a couple of cases in the games we've seen already where red cards perhaps should have been given. Emerson, wearing 8 for Brazil, is one of their players who's on a yellow card, by the way. And if he gets another, then he would be out of the semi-final. So a few players treading carefully. Denilson, in fact, is also on a yellow. Likewise, Junior, and who's on the ball now, and Eduardo Costa. And Honduras have Caballero and Leon on a yellow card.
It's interesting to mention Junior there being on a yellow card, but he's one of the players, you know, obviously playing across in Europe for Parma, looking forward to Champions League football next year. He's one of the ones that decided to come across, and he's been very much to the fore. So, you know, it's been proven a very good tournament for him, and maybe it's a chance of solidifying a place in the national side on a regular basis.
Wilson has threaded it through. Here's Guillermo. It goes down, and the referee has a look and gives nothing. Not interested.
No, I think he's absolutely right. Guilherme desperate to get it onto his favoured left foot. Doesn't take the opportunity with his right foot, and he's gone. You know, and you think at this level, he's got to take the opportunity. Wonderful 1-2 with Danielson. Danielson started nice and bright. I don't think there's any sort of challenge there.
Only took around 3 minutes for the first blatant dive of the game. Brazil, in their last 3 meetings with Honduras, have put 14 goals past them, including an 8-2 thrashing and a 5-0 victory. So no wonder they are strong favourites to see off the Central Americans.
I think generally, you know, apart from Venezuela with Ecuador, the big scoreline there when they lost 4-0. Generally, most of them, I mean, obviously Chile. I think Chile-Paraguay was quite 4-1, but apart from that, there haven't been too many wildly, you know, high-scoring games. And I think that's just showing that world football's, you know, really shrinking. I mean, these are 46 places, you know, difference, second in the world to 48th in the world for Honduras. And, you know, the game will be, I'm sure, a bit closer. The only trouble is that if Brazil do get 1 or 2 goals up and Honduras do come chasing, Brazil have the ammunition to cut you to pieces, and then it's very difficult to get back from there.
Well, Danielson certainly caught Perez then. And the free kick will go the way of Honduras, who are third in their World Cup qualifying group in Central America, 5 points behind Costa Rica and the USA. They meet the USA next in September in Washington, so that'll be a big one for them. Alex. Here's Belletti, who scored against Paraguay, but has run into trouble. Brazil have only lost 1 of their last 23 ties in the Copa America, and that came in this tournament in their opening group game against Mexico. They were really poor, but they have since improved. They couldn't have got much worse, that's for sure. But only 4 wins in 13 games in 2001, hardly the sort of record you'd expect Brazil to have.
No, absolutely right. But, you know, current form always counts a lot for me, you know, and looks like they've put some of their woes behind them. They're nice and solid now. That's generally a defensive 5, and that's the 3 centre-backs in Juan, Luizao and Chris, and then Emerson and Eduardo Costa sitting in front of them. It makes a nice solid base, and virtually everyone else in the field is free to do what Brazil do best, and, you know, rotate there. They really do have a fluid type of football. But it definitely has worked for Scolari, because Madariaga has gone with the 3 at the back, with Garcamo playing the centre of Caballero and Medina. So the first tactical battle has been won by Scolari.
Garcia has Leon down there, but just about keeping his cool was Eduardo Costa. Guevara gives it back to Leon. Away by Juan. Here's Leon. Now Martinez. Rather it was Perez who had the dig from distance.
He didn't quite get hold of the shot, and just dragged it across. It's very difficult to test the keep from that distance. And to be fair, the long shooting in this tournament, it's been rather disappointing, and you know, you'd expect it. Whether it's these type penalty balls that they strike, it doesn't seem to move as well as others, or just maybe it's just a bit of a lack of technique. But what's nice to see tonight, it looks like a good lush surface, and Manazias being a little bit higher above sea level, has a bit more temperate climate, and certainly there's a bit more probably rain about, and it's a nice lush surface it looks tonight.
A bit of an awkward cross for the keeper, and you don't want to mess around too much when Brazil are around in your own penalty area, but Garcia advancing.
Oh, Garcia, wonderful skills there, I have to say. I mean, you don't really want to do that, but I mean, that's tremendous. I mean, the left wing back there really showing some wonderful footwork. And I think we did see in the last game against Uruguay that he did show some lovely touches at times.
Brazil looking to get going. Alex to Guilherme. Not quite the return that was required from Denilson, though.
But some nice interpassing nonetheless, you know, a little triangle there of Alex, Guilherme and Denilson really almost cutting the Honduras defence apart. And there's very little you can do with that. If the quality of the passing's good and it's slick and and the movement's sharp, it's very difficult for people to track runners like that.
Here's Belletti. Oops, poor touch from a Brazilian. Doesn't happen too often.
No, I think he was delighted. I think in the Paraguay game there to get the last goal. It's a little bit shocked to be that far forward, but just shows how adventurous they were when they won 2-1 up. They really did go for the throat, and certainly they looked like they could score at any time they attacked.
Well, that punch from Alex stung the palms of the keeper.
Yeah, wonderful strike, moved in the air again, but again the keeper made a little bit too much of it for me. Far too early, he's moving his feet are moving too early. You know, it's not that much movement that should cause them that much trouble, but they do make routine saves look a bit more difficult, the South American keepers, and you know, I would expect them to.
Well, Brazil actually stayed at their base in Cali before travelling to Manizales very late. Because it's very high altitude, they worry that it might take a little time to adjust, and it does take a little time to adjust actually. But they'll be back here for their semi-final if they win. Brazil will certainly fancy their chances of getting past Honduras. Valderas, the keeper, could be in for one of his busier evenings if we get to see the real Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, it's been a cautious start, but you know, Honduras won't be too disappointed. Haven't given up too much opportunities yet, but a little bit worrying. They've been off Denilson a few times. He's coming from holding that hole. There's an attack here. Excellent defended by Chris. Got along there nice and bright and shut it down.
Corner kick though, which Guevara will go across and take.
So I'm not quite sure what the reason for that, really, saying that it'll take a while to acclimatise. I mean, you think it make the lads feel worse if they didn't get acclimatised. So that's a strange thing, and not the first strange thing Scolari's ever said.
Yes, he's quite a character, is Big Phil, the new coach of Brazil, who was actually in charge of Palmeiras when they beat Manchester United a couple of years back in the World Club Championship. He has come up with some lovely quotes during this tournament, one or two of which we might well pass on to you as the evening progresses. He's certainly a character, and the Brazilian media have given him a bit of stick for some of the words he comes out with, but he won't mind that too much if he wins this.
I don't think too many spectators in the stand will give him stick. I think he punched a spectator in one game, so he's obviously a manager who's very, very passionate about his football, and obviously that passion sometimes just spills over, but as it did in the game when he was suspended. So it's one of them things. I think Brazilians love that type of passion about it, and they'll accept that as long as the team's winning.
Denilson tried a fancy flick, which didn't really come off, but Brazil can take another route here. Well, that looked like a dive, even from where we're sitting, from Belletti.
Definitely, and I don't think he needs to do that. You know, I really thought he could deliver the ball there. He went to ground far too easy. I mean, he's past the defender here. He's certainly going to catch the ball. He's certainly going. It's not going to run out, and he goes down. Definitely not a foul. Right decision from the referee.
That was pretty pathetic, you have to say, from Belletti.
Some of the diving's been very, very spectacular, but that was a particularly poor one.
No points for that one, definitely. Belletti's not quite going to keep that in, I don't think.
Well, you just see the two faces of Belletti there. Wonderful skill, lets the ball run across his body and through his legs, and absolutely superb. Does Garcia very comfortably, just can't get the ball on the other side.
Alex, here's Junior. nicely struck by Denilson. It flashes across the box.
I think it's a trademark step over there from Denilson. Always wants to get on his left foot. And I think, you know, if I was Madariaga tonight, you know, I'd be saying to my defenders, don't buy the dummy. You know he's going to go on his left foot. You know, it's important that you now, when football's moving on so much with technology, you can afford to study a player. You know he's left-footed, and therefore it's important that defenders see that, you know, and know to show him on his weaker right foot. But it's still a lovely strike, just a bit too much flashed across the face.
Well, it's been a fairly tentative start from Brazil, but then it took Colombia a while to get their goals against Peru in the other quarter-final tonight. But the host nation are through, and they will play the winners of this one here in the semi-final in Manizales, which is a beautiful town, a university town, very much a cultural and academic centre. Just your cup of tea, really, or probably just your cup of coffee in this part of the world.
Exactly right, yeah, definitely. There's a big university here, and they're very academic, and I think lots of the students of the game would love to come and watch Brazil play, and I think anyone can learn from it. But as I say, Madariaga's gone virtually identical shape for shape. He's letting Martinez, who likes to play up front his own, and Julio Leon and Amado Guevara just playing in behind him, you know, so they're almost identical shape for shape, and that's probably, you know, they realise it's not been too many opportunities thus far.
The referee had a little think about that one, but he has given the free kick in favour of Alex, who is one of Brazil's rising stars, 23-year-old from Palmeiras, and he was just caught then by Bernardes. Now you'd expect Brazil to have a go from here, although they could do with Roberto Carlos, but he's one of the players who decided not to take part. Denilson.
It's just Luisao on the end of the wall there, just trying to put an extra obstacle, and a lot of teams are doing this.
In the end, it was a rather tame effort into the wall.
It's a woeful effort, Wilhelme. You know, you do expect a better quality ball than that, and that was very disappointing. But as I say, you know, when you put that man near the end of the ball, it does sometimes block the keeper, and you know, it just gives you an opportunity. If you can whip the ball with pace in that area, then suddenly your end man ducks out of the way or drags the man round, you can obviously give yourself an advantage and maybe curl it into the top right-hand corner of the keeper's net.
Honduras playing in the Copa America for the very first time. Last-minute replacements for Argentina, who pulled out amid security fears, and they're certainly making the most of it, relishing the chance to do battle with Brazil.
Well, thankfully, then the security fears have proved unfounded, and you know, I think it's been a loss for Argentina not to be in it. And you know, in some ways, it will probably be their loss, because you know, it's nice to play games and get yourself you know, in the right sort of form coming up to World Cup qualifiers. They do look like they're very in comfortable position at the present time, Argentina.
Guevara is still down, injured, although it might have been a contender for another possible dive. That wasn't a bad cross, actually. But Guevara went to ground in the build-up to all that and took absolutely ages to get up. He'll need a touch of treatment if the referee will allow it.
I do like the look of this Garcia. I think he's a good player, got lovely ability on the ball, and you know, whipped in a fantastic looking cross. And here's Denilson's effort again on that favoured left foot, and the keeper's comfortably wide. But again, always better across the face of the goal. If the keeper gets palms it out, your strikers, if they're any worth their mettle, they'll be following them in for a nice little tap in. And as any striker would tell you, you'd love to get 5 or 6 of them this season.
Guevara, such an influential figure for the Hondurans in this tournament. Three goals so far. Brazil this year. They took an absolute age over that throw-in, and the referee, Osvaldo Aquino, less than impressed. It's now going to go the other way to Brazil. Bounces off Guevara, and another throw for Belletti. Brazil are fourth in their World Cup qualifying group. The top four qualified. Uruguay, though, who are one place below them, on the same number of points. So still plenty to play for. And the team that finishes fifth in the South American World Cup qualifying group will face a playoff against Australia, who beat Brazil not so long ago in the Confederations Cup. I have to say, it would be unthinkable to see a World Cup without the Brazilians, but they're certainly making hard work at qualifying.
No, they certainly are, but there's still games to play, and it's certainly in their hands. If they want to go on any sort of run, they've got an opportunity of qualifying outright. And I think if they do, it'll be a big sigh of relief for the Australians and the Frank Farina. Just involved with Belletti there, and I think Belletti's from a German stock. I think his father was German. You can see that he's a bit different temperament, a bit more physical about him, although he still has probably that South American flair for them dives we've seen earlier on.
This is Chris. Whoops. Valladares makes a mess of it. Honduras are actually top scorers in their World Cup qualifying group, but they have the second worst defence in the group, although they haven't given much away in this tournament. Mind you, they're going to get a test in that respect today, and that's a bit long in the end from Luizao, but Denilson will collect, and he has Junior there with him. Junior maybe with a chance to get one in, just snuffed out though, but at the expense of a corner.
Yeah, nice interplay there between Junior and Denilson, and good delivery, and just got a good block on it, an excellent block. So first real opportunity for Brazil to test the Honduran defence, and they've got some big lads, that's for sure. You know, in one, and Luizao looks a good 6'2".
It was Juan who got on the end of it, to little avail in the end. He's for Flamengo, and he was a late call-up to the squad after quite a few big names pulled out. Sure, Honduras knew what they were doing there, but I don't think so.
We did see that again the other night against Uruguay. Caballero too many times tried to be a bit too much culture at the back and play out, and he got himself in a lot of situations that he'd never needed to do, but they like to do that. It's part of their mentality, but you always feel that they can give you a chance.
Sending one up. Got a foul. And Juan will give Brazil a free kick. Midway through the first half. No goals so far in Manizales. Not that much of a sign of one either.
No, exactly right. But a lot of interesting, it's almost like a boxing match, a lot of sparring going on just to test people out, and they certainly look like they've got them all cutting edge, as they should have. But wonderful touch there. I think that was from Denilson into Chris's path.
No free kick as Chris went to ground, edge of area.
And that's what you do need when you are shape for shape, and you can't see how many break people down. You do need that bit of magic, and that's probably why Denilson's in the side tonight. To give that little spark, that little bit of something, that bit of spark of genius at times. You do need that to open up defences. Well, that's what Martinez gives you. It's again that wonderful technique that Valladares uses. The goal all South Americans use, and I think they coach it over there to kick like a side volley. Wonderful driven ball out, and a bit too long for Martinez. But to be fair to the lad, he chases, and nearly gets something for his efforts.
Well, it was given away cheaply by Eduardo Costa, and Honduras will look to benefit as they look to pull off the result of their lives, which beating Brazil would undoubtedly be. Referees played the advantage here, and Emerson is leading the charge for Brazil. Just going to go too far.
Yeah, he's very unfortunate there, showed his power. You know, the AS Roma player, really nice and powerful, and I like that pair in midfield. I really like the look of this Eduardo Costa in midfield. He's only 18, as I said, and fantastic athleticism, real powerhouse, works all day long, good quality on the ball, as all the Brazilians have. And, you know, he looks to be one of the bright sparks for Brazil's future. And playing alongside it, not too elderly, Emerson only 25, and he's playing his football abroad. You know, it'd be a wonderful experience for him.
Here's Alex. Denilson with Junior outside of him, but, well, maybe Denilson should have used him after all. Foul by Emerson, who was a championship winner in Serie A with Roma indeed, and Leon seems to be milking it.
I think what, I mean, he gets a little knock here, but again, it's not as bad as he makes out. He does catch his feet. I think what Coach Madariaga must be worried about is that, you know, they're playing the two up really, Guilherme and Denilson, if they're at most times. You know, sometimes Denilson drops off, but when you're playing with three centre-backs, it's important that if Denilson drops off, one of them goes with him. You know, it's different if you're playing with two centre-backs. You can't sometimes afford to drop off. You can't afford to go tight, but you've definitely got to go tight with three centre-backs. Otherwise, there's no point in having the three. And I think that otherwise they've got three marking one at the back there at times. And if Denilson gets turned and starts running at you, that really meal the whole house of cards will start to fall. And Madariaga, if I was him, I'd be emphasising to the forwards that when they do come off, when the forwards do come off, that make sure Caballero and Medina go, you know, really nice and tight to him, touch tight to him. They can afford to do that with three at the back.
Here is Denilson. Junior looking to get in. Brazil looking to make their fourth successive Copa America final, but they could be under a bit of pressure here. Although that should bounce harmlessly, or loop harmlessly through to goalkeeper Marcos, who's with Palmeiras. Deferred to Dida at the moment in the Brazilian goal. Junior up towards Denilson. Nothing doing though for the man who is still one of the most expensive players in the world. He cost Real Betis £23 million. When they were relegated a couple of years back, he went off on loan back to Brazil with Flamengo, but he did play in the Spanish second division for them last season, and they were promoted back to the top flight, but he still hasn't really hit it off at Real Betis, and it's a really big year coming up for him in La Liga, because it's about time he lived up to the price tag, really. Now with a magnificent run, and very nearly gave Honduras a shock lead then.
Yeah, an excellent run there, plenty of wizardry there, nice skills, driving into the heart of the defence there and putting a good save out of Marcos.
Guevara, a rather ambitious attempt on goal, that methinks.
Yeah, definitely. Good snapshot there from Leon across the goal.
Antonio Lopez looking after things on the bench, one of the Brazilian coaches, because remember, Big Phil, Luis Felipe Scolari, and his number 2, Flavio Matosa, have been banished to the stands after their red cards against Paraguay.
I think what you will be surprised at when you see this is that, you know, the Brazilian centre-halves are giving away cheap possession when they're trying to play balls up to their midfield or their forwards. And that's because, you know, the way that Honduras is set out, and when they look forward, they can't see any passes that are immediately on. Only one's coming short. And that means that Honduras are doing their defensive positions right. When the ball's moving, they're all moving in tandem, and they're nice and solid and difficult to break down. And the gaps between the midfield and the defenders are, you know, not more than 10 and 12 yards at times.
The 18-year-old Eduardo Costa, who's around that left-hand side at the moment, is certainly playing a prominent part for Brazil in this game. Juan doesn't get it back, and a chance for Leon. Martinez, decent return, well, decent-ish, but Brazil recovered and got across, and Honduras eager to keep this little spell going. Quality of the delivery not great. You can see the frustration from Leon and others.
I think there may have been Medina there bombing on, and I think he linked in with Caballero. We were saying about Caballero being happy to come out of the back, and him and Medina are uncompromising defenders, but they do have quality on the ball. It was a crossfield pass from Caballero to find Medina, and he showed good skills go round, and when the most important part, the delivery, he just slashed it a little bit.
Almost half an hour played in Manizales. Brazil 0, Honduras 0 in the last of the quarterfinals. Guevara gets a second chance. Chris comes across. Here's Emerson. Now this could be promising for Brazil. Nilsson trying to find a way to goal.
Skip past Medina there, lovely, but great covering challenge from Caballero. Really drove over. But there, just you see, just at the time, and that's what Brazil will hope, that Honduras get a bit of, get a bit excited at times, get a bit more positive, and they push a few bodies forward. And when they did, they broke on them very sharply. All of a sudden, you found Denilson one-on-one against Medina. He skinned him, but an excellent covering challenge from Caballero saved the day for Honduras.
Brazil have used an incredible 51 different players in their World Cup qualifying campaign, and they've almost used as many number of coaches as well, getting through quite a few.
Who'd be a coach in?
Especially in South America.
If you only get sacked over here, you can get sacked and shot out of there. So.
Yes, it has happened.
And certainly, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Honduras will be the happier, but Brazil won't be overly concerned. Certainly a little game of chess at the moment. Who's going to break down, if you like, the Russian defence first. So it's going to be, just a patient waiting game. Brazil have got to keep the ball a little better than they have at the moment.
Perez, not a bad try that, and awkward little bounce in front of Marcos too, as Perez had a go. Martinez won't have much joy there.
Yeah, with Garcia and, as I say, De Leon and Guevara, they have got some ability on the ball, Honduras. They do have a lovely way of moving the ball about. And there you just seen a wonderful turn from De Leon, a nice patient passing, almost got Martinez in. And just at times Martinez is getting a little bit isolated.
In comes the cross, and Belletti was in the hunt for another goal, having scored one against Paraguay. I think the keeper's taken a bit of a sore one.
Well, what you do say when you're playing wing-backs is you must get that right wing-back to get the, to lock in the back door, as we call it. And Belletti does ever so well there. I mean, I can't quite understand what the referee's given. He's given a foul there. I find that unbelievable, because Belletti had nothing but eyes on the ball, and he hit a good challenge, an excellent save from Valladares. I think the ball in was from that man, Denilson, then. And if you give him that much time with his left foot, he will pick someone out.
He has got away from his man. Danger here for Honduras, and they're going to have a corner to contend with as well.
Good save there from Valladares, from Belletti's attempt on his right foot.
I think everybody was rather mystified that the free kick was given then, but anyway, moving on, Brazil have a corner. Alex delivers. Goal kick is going to be the outcome. Oh, the No, it's another corner.
I think, again, the referee gets that slightly wrong. And that was one with a flick at the near post. Excellent delivery from Alex. Really did bend it in the near post, but just too thick a contact. And one, it flew for a goal kick for me, but the referees give a corner.
Nilsson and Junior don't really make much of that short corner, though, but maybe they can combine again here. Nilsson. He'll leave it for Junior. Nilsson. Forced into the corner. Oh! He tried to come up with a bit of fancy footwork to get himself out of that corner. Martinez on Chris.
Yeah, just Chris has been excellent. He's been really pinching balls a lot in front of Martinez. We haven't seen much of Martinez, you know, for his big pace, but he's certainly not having space in behind him when the ball's been played up to him. Here you see in wonderful coloured boots. It's wonderful skill, but again, a little bit touch easy down, although his shirt was being pulled.
Caballero. Blocked by Juan. Looks like the keeper with a bit to do, Valladares. Perez delighting the fans, taking on Brazil.
Yeah, excellent play from Perez there. Lovely little dummy through the legs.
Inside the last 10 minutes of the first half, no goals, but here's Garcia for Honduras. Looking for Martinez, but that'll go behind. This the last of the quarterfinals. Next from the Copa America. After this, the first of the semi-finals. It's on Wednesday night, or the early hours of Thursday morning, in fact, UK time. Mexico take on Uruguay. Uruguay finalists last time out in the Copa America, where they lost to Brazil. Could it be a repeat of that final? I wonder. Mexico, and whoever gets through here will have something to say about that. This is quite fancy from Honduras, though, with Leon and Martinez waiting in the middle for Tercios's cross. Brazil, though, trying to set something up for themselves with Alex and Junior. Nilsson ahead of him, and he's found him. This could be promising for Brazil. Medina goes across. Nilsson has spent the entire tournament on the bench until now. Alex, and pushed away by Valladares, but what a lovely move, and Alex, the central figure in it.
Yeah, started with it. There's the ball in. But Marcos claims company and immediately makes a good delivery. And it goes straight up the arrow for Alex, who takes a little snapshot, but keeper's got to do better than that. It's into his midriff. You know, to give away a corner for the very, very tame shot from Alex is just not good enough. And I have to say, the goalkeeper stand at times in this tournament is not quite what we've been expecting. Again, Nilsson very much involved to the fore. Lovely skills. As I say, then strangely bronze-coloured boots. In fact, I thought he pinched them from your wardrobe in. I've seen on the dance floor a pair like that.
A bit too flash for me.
You've got the matching suit, don't tell lies.
The referee will stop play so the treatment can be given. It looked a bit of a sore one for Leon, who's none too impressed with Emerson.
There's that old Latino temperament coming out again.
Yeah, like you never reacted like that.
Never reacted at all. Absolutely, Emerson does absolutely nothing wrong there. I don't know why Leon's so displeased with that challenge. He's got nothing but eyes for the ball there, Emerson.
Brazil trying to change that. And the free kick's actually gone against Alex on this occasion.
Yeah, I think he just lost his balance there and dived and tried to kind of free kick out the ref, and the referee's been very, very more than fair tonight. I think he's not very given too many fouls and hasn't fallen for too many dives, so it's making for a bit more of a flowing game, which is certainly better than we've seen of late.
It's a real up and under, which you don't often associate with Brazil.
Yeah, wonderful control from Garcia, from Luizão's rather industrial clearance.
Now Martinez trying to get in. It's going to come to Leon, who looked like he was sizing one up then. He waits for others to arrive on the scene, and then rather bizarrely does appear to go for goal.
Yeah, Leon, I think he almost wants the ball for himself at times. I mean, Guevara made a wonderful run through the middle of the Brazilian defence there. If he'd have slipped it nice and early, he was in, but tried to show a little bit on the ball, bit of ball manipulation, show a few tricks about how good a player he is, and then it's a woefully wild shot going fully 20 yards wide.
Honduras were the last team to arrive in Colombia for the Copa America, having only been confirmed as participants the day before the tournament began, when Argentina definitely decided to pull out.
They came in styling, I think it was in the presidential jet, so there was benefits to coming late.
Yeah, the Colombians are very grateful for them to take the last remaining place, did fly them in, but the Hondurans equally happy to be here, although I'm not sure if their coach was, because he was on a beach in Spain when we found out that Honduras had received the invitation and had to cut short his holiday. Here's Denilson. Guevara. Brazil were hot favourites to demolish Honduras here, but they haven't given much away in this tournament so far. There was never really a case for them being completely overrun by Brazil, and so it's proved.
No, and Perez has been brought in the side by Madariaga tonight. He's got plenty of pace about him, and he's been certainly one of the positive in the first half. And just there you see Denilson has shown a clean pair of heels to a number of Honduran defenders, try and take Perez on, and Perez had the legs on him. So he's certainly been much to the fore in this first half, and he can be happy with his 40 minutes performance so far, and hopefully Honduras will get to half-time at least at 0-0, which will be a real boost for Madariaga.
Well, as another contender for an abysmal free kick of the tournament, and it was Perez.
Just when I was waxing lyrical about him, he does what I have to say, too many have done this tournament for me, not made the keeper make a save.
Honduras, though, will be pretty happy with their lot so far, considering the quality of their opponents. Opponents who, even their coach, Scolari, Big Phil, Brazilian coach, has admitted have lost a little respect on the world football scene after a poor year. He said they have to get that respect back, and going about it the right way, having beaten Peru and Paraguay. But they've got a battle on their hands here with Honduras, that is for sure. But they do have a free kick with half-time fast approaching, and it's going to be taken for them by Belletti.
I think Scolari's got to deal with that expectation level more than anything else, and I think it really is a pressure in itself.
Decent delivery from Belletti, though, and Juan couldn't quite glance it towards goal.
Well, he just gets his body shape a little bit wrong at the point of the header, and he tries to turn the ball. He doesn't need to turn the ball, just meet it with his eyes. He tries to turn his head, and you can't afford to do that. Once you turn your head, the ball's moved another 2 or 3 inches, and it glances off the side of his head. Just head it back the way it came, and the movement will curl it into that far corner.
2 minutes to go in the first half. Here's Julio Leon. He's it straight at Emerson, but Honduras hanging in there. Martinez comes to help out.
It's interesting, they have that little chance from set piece, because one of the most threatening that Brazil have looked is from set pieces and corners, and it's not something you associate with the Brazilian side, but they have got some height, and with the delivery they've got in the side, either from Denilson or Alex, it really can be a real potent weapon. And you know, again, so I think even in most football, still 60% of it of goals conceded from them set pieces. So it's something that you know, Scolari will have concentrated on and worked on hard and long on the training pitch and perfected, and they are reaping dividends tonight. Although there's no real been attacks or chances on goals yet. Although I think one should have done better there.
Guevara trying to get in with Martinez there too, and Brazil didn't look too comfortable for a moment in the last minute of the first half. This quarter-final not a sellout, although the semi-finals to be played here might well be, if Brazil go through to face the host Colombia, who naturally have always had an excellent atmosphere at their games. It's here with the throw. Well, this could be interesting for Honduras. A free kick in a promising position as Tercios is caught.
Yeah, again, I think he cons a free kick out the ref there. Don't think there was much in that, but wonderful opportunity now for hopefully South American special. But we've been waiting a few games for one of these, and it's surely got to come eventually. Although, having said that, Guevara in the last game against Uruguay really did test to keep his hands in the first half with a rocket of a free kick. So he's the one that has shown some quality on the ball.
So an anxious moment for Brazil. 2 minutes of time to be added on, starting now in this first half. Oops, there's a faller in the wall, Caballero. The Brazilians not too impressed by his presence in the wall. Emerson on the end of it.
He's a bit pushing and shoving now. I mean, it's nothing. He goes down a bit too easy for the size of him. But there has been some, Emerson's doing that, and you know, it's having the desired effect of Caballero being the end of the ball. I think someone's going to get a booking here.
It's Eduardo Costa who's been putting himself about. The teenager is shown a yellow card, and that means he won't be able to play a part in the semi-final if Brazil get through. Leon went for it in the end. Guevara gets a second chance, and that flashes wide.
Yeah, I think the Romain took the free kick. You can see by that second strike that maybe Leon seems to be very much confident in his own ability, but as yet, although he's shown lovely touch on the ball, it's a woeful free kick, and it's a nice strike from Guevara. I'd like to see him have the opportunity, but that will be a real blow for Scolari to lose Costa. I mean, he's the engine room there. Really, him and Emerson really do power the team along. Bundles of energy, bundles of enthusiasm, and certainly a youthful approach, so he'll be a real loss for the semi-final.
Well, Junior, Emerson and Denilson are also on yellow cards for Brazil, so they've got to be careful. Likewise, Caballero and Leon for Honduras. Seconds remaining in this first half. Foul on Martinez, a man who's had a host of chances to score in the Copa America, but hasn't managed to yet. Maybe his time will come, and he won't mind a bit of it. Came against Brazil, it would have been worth waiting for.
Well, I think he maybe used up all his luck in the last game against Uruguay. I mean, for how well he played and the runs he made, he just did waste some opportunities, some real golden opportunities, and he'll look back and well, they could have had 3 or 4.
Alex doing battle with Caballero, but losing out. And Honduras ending the half on a high in Manizales, although that one will trickle harmlessly through to Marcos, and that could be the last action of the half. Brazil, rather like Colombia in the other semi-final today, taking their time about it here, certainly not having it their own way against the Hondurans, even though Brazil were fancied by many to coast it here. Honduras have given a good account of themselves in this tournament, and they haven't made it easy even for the Brazilians. At the break, Brazil 0, Honduras 0.
The new Scottish season is upon us. Celtic open up against St Johnstone Saturday. Sky Sports 1, 5:30 for the opener in Scotland. Brazil 0, Honduras 0. 45 minutes away from a penalty shootout. the Brazilian coach Scolari suspended from the touchline. But Ray Houghton, will he have been making his presence felt over half-time?
I'm sure he would have been,
in the dressing room?
We had a similar thing in the World Cup in '94 in America when Jack got sent off against Mexico, and at half-time he came into the dressing room and just gave us a few pointers, and I'm sure there'd be the same with Scolari out there. You
put that very politely, a few pointers. What are the few pointers that Scolari, with this Brazilian side, has got to get across, Tony?
I would have thought he's given them a bit of a rollicking. To me, they've just been like going through the motions almost, and they haven't created any chances, and they really have got to step it up in the second half.
You did point out to us that he's been a very vociferous personality on the touchline, and when he's not there, there might have been the difference. Has that been the way of it in the first half for you? Well,
it might not be helping their cause, but you can't point to that as something that's making the team not play very well. You've got to get on with it. It doesn't matter whether the coach is on the sidelines or in the stands. Once you're on that pitch, you've got to do the business, and they're not doing the business, Brazil. Conversely, Ray, how do Honduras look on their efforts from here now?
We'll be very happy with the first half performance. To come in 0-0 against Brazil was a tremendous achievement, but now they've got to step up a gear now. I think, especially in Guevara and Leon, they've got two players for me who could really transform the second half.
A change for Brazil. Two changes, maybe more than that. But we know that Juninho is coming on here, and so too Juninho Pernambucano. Both have featured extensively in the tournament already. Brazil have been on the crest of a revival. But let's be clear about this. Going out to Honduras in the Copa America would make one of the worst returns ever in their history. This could be a very interesting 45 minutes. Let's rejoin Iain Dowie and Iain Crocker for commentary.
Welcome back to Manizales, where Brazil have made two changes for the start of the second half, and they've brought on the two Juninhos in their squad. The player now known as Juninho Paulista, who was at Middlesbrough and is currently with Vasco da Gama. And surprisingly, Alex has gone off. But Juninho Pernambucano is also on. They use those names to avoid confusion. Two Juninhos coming on for the start of the second half. Juninho Pernambucano in place of Alex, and the former Middlesbrough man Juninho, who had a spell in Spanish football as well, of course, with Atletico Madrid. He just caught a glimpse of him there. He's also come on, so Brazil changing things around at the start of the second half, and although Honduras did contain them in the first half, it still was I don't know, not quite what you expect from Brazil. No,
virtually unrecognisable, some of their attacking play from the previous Copa games and previous games you're used to watching Brazil, but you know, their fluidity wasn't quite there, and they've really gone for it now, and they've taken the centre-back off, I think, so they've gone for much more attacking formation, and obviously gone with a bit more attacking zest, a bit more attacking know-how to break down a very, very stubborn Honduras back three.
So Luizão and Alex have made way for the arrival of the double Juninhos, and Big Phil, the Brazilian coach, will be hoping those changes will add fresh impetus and give Brazil a chance to find a way past the Honduras side, who have only conceded the one goal in the tournament in their opening game to Costa Rica. Here is Juninho once of Middlesbrough, and he's making quite an impact. And the goalkeeper Valladares got his fingertips to that.
Well, excellent. I mean, Juninho's no better when he's running at you. He really does play a lovely 1-2. And he's a bit unlucky because he actually tried to dig it out there for a little chip. He's just overstretching. It's a corner because the keeper does get a good touch. But nice bold play by Scolari there, taking the centre-back off and going for the Honduras juggler, if you like.
Well, Brazil looking lively at the start of the second half, and Juninho was certainly involved for them. Became a darling on Teesside in his time in English football, although he was ultimately relegated with Middlesbrough, of course. Went to Atletico Madrid, where he broke his leg. Rather nasty challenge from Michel Salgado, I think it was, when he was playing for Celta Vigo.
Yeah, never quite regained the heights that he achieved at Middlesbrough for sure. I played against him a number of times, and he was actually electric. I think we lost 4-2 up there with West Ham once, and he was absolutely fantastic. And you know, the whole crowd rose. He came off just before the end. The crowd rose to their feet to give him applause. But you know, it's good to see him back in some sort of form. Looks to be regaining some of his zest and his zip off the mark, which was such a trademark. And when he's running out, he really is he's a joy to behold. He really is.
Now back in Brazil with Vasco da Gama. It's the other Juninho Pernambucano, who's going to stand over this free kick. Chris is up from the back, Emerson waiting, Iain there also, lurking too. In it goes. Chris was the nearest Brazilian to it, but Honduras dig it out, and it's picked up by Leon. Tercios, Guevara, he's given that one away. Honduras suddenly given some encouragement. Just went the wrong side of Martinez from Caballero, who had taken great strides forward. Juninho Pernambucano. Julia. And Viadera smothers.
Yeah, nice bright start there from Brazil. Juninho there, coming inside, taking a good ball and striking a left foot shot he didn't quite get hold of, but nonetheless, at least the keeper's had a little bit of work to do.
Sense of urgency about Brazil at the start of the second half. Juninho delivers. Guilherme was in there, but it's taken away from him by Viadeiras.
Yeah, it's good goalkeeping there, because it wasn't a bad ball under a lot of pressure from Juninho Paulista, and certainly got across the front, Guilherme, but the keeper Valadares did well to pick it off at the front post.
The winners of this quarter-final will face the host nation Colombia in the semi-finals, and that semi-final will also be played here in Manizales.
What Scolari's done there is he's just taken Luizar off and gone. Chris and Juan make up the two centre-backs, with Belletti and Junior becoming more orthodox full-backs, though. Although they still are very much pushing on very much, and sometimes when they do push on, it's for the man on the ball there, Eduardo Costa, to sit in front of the back two and give a bit of support. So therefore, when he does that, I think Juninho Pernambucano just sits with Emerson and makes a nice defensive shield. And then it's up to the likes of Juninho Paulista, Guilherme and Denilson to spark their magic and hopefully create some things on an offensive side.
Free kick conceded by Denilson.
There you see, like across the midfield there, that's Juninho Pernambucano, Emerson holding two front, and just behind them will be Eduardo Costa, so he'll just sit behind them and be the sort of more defensive-minded midfield player to allow the three runners of Juninho, Guilherme and Denilson to create the sparks of genius that Brazil require to open us this very, very stubborn Honduran defence.
Reminder, if it is level at the end of 90 minutes, it will go to the lottery of a penalty shootout. Straight 2 penalties, no extra time. Guevara, the captain of Honduras. It's on by Garcia. Here's Juninho Pernambucano, and he finds Juninho Paulista, and that will be a free kick for a rather blatant obstruction.
Yeah, no sign of Juninho pulling out the challenge there with Perez, and was very, very committed to the cause, straight through the tackle. None of them really hit contact with the ball, but I think it's certainly a foul.
Brazil looking lively-ish at the start of the second half, but still no goals. Former Middlesbrough man Juninho will be trying to change that. Almost room down there for Juninho to swing this corner in. It's going to come back to him. He'll try again. It's just too much on that.
I think he's tried to cross that there. I think he's gone for a shot to the far corner with a bit of whip on it, hoping if anyone gets a nick on him. He just got a bit too much heart on it, and it flew harmlessly wide. He started very, very brightly, and he's always been an exciting prospect, and he does look very much at home in the Brazilian side, where they do give him plenty of the ball.
No way through for Brazil at the moment, but there might well be now. Denilson trying to advance, but Brazil having to settle for the corner.
See, for me, that's the frustrating side of Denilson at times. He's clearly got an opportunity to slip it to him.
Juninho Pernambucano was looking like he might deliver then, with Guilherme and Juan waiting.
Yeah, I was just saying that, Denilson clearly had the opportunity to slip it across to Guilherme, who was going to have a simple tapping, but didn't see him, didn't get his head up early enough, and then the opportunity's gone. Great opportunity that for Brazil.
Juninho Pernambucano sends it in, too high for Guilherme, but it's going to be retrieved by Eduardo Costa, whose yellow card in the first half means that he'll be out of the semi-final if Brazil get there. Juninho has really livened things up for Brazil. Any Middlesbrough fans watching won't be too surprised. Eduardo Costa has overrun that. It's going to be a goal kick.
Just wonderful skill, and invention from Juninho, who I have to say hasn't quite got the change of pace he once had, but still wonderful invention there. A lovely little lob over the first defender and a little touch around the other one. And just a little bit unfortunate he doesn't get a run on the ball.
Brazil won Group B despite losing their first game to Mexico. Honduras came second in Group C despite losing their first game to Costa Rica. Actually the first meeting between these countries for 5 years. Last time they met, Brazil won 5-0. But they've got their work cut out tonight in Manizales as the Copa America continues. This the last quarter-final. Already through, Mexico and Uruguay, who will face each other. The host nation Colombia got through earlier comfortably in the end against Peru. Brazil could be waiting for them. Another card is coming out.
You know, I think you have to say probably on the showing from this Copa that Brazil would, even if they got to the semis, were going as sort of underdogs against the Colombian side, who have yet to concede a goal, and they were certainly rampant in the semi-final there tonight, or the quarter-final there tonight.
Martinez has got a yellow card, but he's not one of the players who have already been booked in this tournament. Juninho once again trying to inspire Brazil.
Again, it's wonderful approach work. Juninho to Denilson. Tries it, well, I thought he was going to play the 1-2 with Guilherme, but again decided to go rather than reverse the ball back to Guilherme. So, and Guilherme showed his frustration there by grabbing his hands in his head, but still signs of Brazil starting to liven up their attacking play, being a bit more inventive, a bit more creative, and one thing that Honduras have to be very aware of, they don't concede a goal, because if they do and they have to push out, I think, you know, it'll be very difficult for them to get back in the game with Brazil attacking on the break.
Here's Denilson. Ooh, Juninho nearly latching onto that. Certainly the introduction of the two Juninhos have made a difference to Brazil, and here they are looking to break the deadlock again with one of those Juninhos. Juninho Pernambucano. Didn't quite happen for them that time, but it's an improved showing as far as the first half was concerned.
Yeah, definitely. A lot more to the fore. Haven't seen too much of Honduras in an attacking threat, where there was fits and starts in the first half. So I think it's going to be a fairly long half of defending for Honduras, and they must keep their discipline, must keep their defensive shape that Madariaga has worked obviously long and hard on. It's very, very important that when midfield runners run, that the midfielders track them and don't leave them for the defenders.
Colombia eventually broke down Peru earlier. Can Brazil break down Honduras? Not just yet. as the Hondurans are having a rare attack in this second half. Martinez trying to get in, and it still might open up for them. Tercios, decent cross too. Oh, it's going to go in. Martinez was putting himself about in the 6-yard box, and he will claim the credit. And this is a sensational scoreline in the Copa America. The holders Brazil 0, the outsiders Honduras 1.
Well, would you believe it? I haven't even seen him as an attacking threat. And I have to say, if anyone deserves a goal for his efforts, it is Martinez. Whether he claims it or not is another matter. And I think it's De Leon who digs it out. I thought I'd overdone it a bit, but there he gets in there. Oh, it hits the post. Oh, and there you go. Wonderful to see him get the goal, because he does well in getting in front of Marcos. Great little ball from De Leon. Does well to get in front of it. Oh, I think here's Belletti. It comes off. Own goal definitely for Belletti, but he does ever so well here. De Leon digs it out. He makes the goal. Martinez getting in front of Marcos, and there's the unfortunate Belletti finding it hitting off his right foot.
I think the Copa America, Brazil trying to hit back straight away as only they can, but I think the video panel of the Copa America will definitely put that one down as a Belletti OG, although try telling him.
If they get any heart, they'll give it to Martinez. But, you know, clearly an own goal. But nonetheless, if he doesn't get in front of the keeper, it doesn't start. And I think that's a picture of Scolari. He won't be happy, but it's game on now. I think with still a good half an hour to go, it's all for Brazil to make the running now. They've got to press and probe, got to take more chances and make for a much more open and entertaining game.
Well, Brazil's desperate year. Is it going to take another turn for the worse here? They trail Honduras. They came from behind, of course, against Paraguay, remember? And they're more than capable of digging themselves out of this hole, but there's just over half an hour to go. And the Hondurans are really loving every moment of the Copa America. Not bad considering they only knew they'd be taking part in this tournament a day before it began, when Argentina definitely pulled out. And well, there had been a sense of urgency from Brazil in the second half. They're going to be even more urgent now, because if they lose to Honduras, then Big Phil, well, his job could be in trouble. They could be onto a new coach again.
Well, I mean, they certainly need some sort of continuity, Brazil, as a coaching side, on the coaching side of things. But what I will say is, Honduras were very, very keen at their defending at 0-0. What they'll be like now with a goal to protect, they'll be they'll be almost as keen as they can be. They really will get bodies behind the ball. And I think Madariaga was saying, don't commit too many bodies forward. It's important that I think the players that they really do push on, like Leon and Guevara and at times Garcia. Don't go too, don't go Harry-Carry after another goal. You don't really need to do that. They've been nice and solid. They've not given up too many chances as yet to Brazil, and that'll be a real boost for Madariaga. And thinking that, with what, half an hour to go now, there's a real chance that they could be in the Copa quarterfinals. And there's Martinez getting across the front of Marcos, comes back off the fortune Belletti, and he celebrates like he should do. Fantastic opportunity, and this could be a real shot.
Well, we've been saying all through the tournament that Martinez has had so many chances to score and fluffed them, and I don't think he's going to be credited with that one either, for sure. An OG for Belletti. Leon delivers, and Brazil rocked by that goal. And Honduras are absolutely buzzing. Just look at them. They're loving it. Perez in towards Martinez. And Juan has got to be careful. But Junior is there too. Martinez proving to be a real nuisance.
No, he did say that, I said in the first half he chased a nothing ball. He's done that again there. Junior, and I think it was Juan, thought they had too much ability for him. We're messing about in the corner, and he's got themselves a free kick in a really valuable position for Honduras.
Honduras really fancy it now. Oh, they've got another.
I think it's a corner.
The ball has just gone over the line.
I think it has. It's either a corner. It's obviously a goal kick, but it just creeped over the line there.
What a let off for Brazil.
Well, it just shows you Juan and Junior thinking they had too much time. And there's Perez. I don't think that's crossed the line.
No way.
And I don't want to do my usual rant about video referees, but dear oh dear. I mean, that could be a very, very costly situation for Honduras. Could be the biggest, you know, game of their life, getting in the semi-finals, and here's a situation that they may cost them at the end of the day, and there's no need to do it. The game's out of play. Stop it. Have a look at it again. Clearly, it's not out for me. Clearly, it doesn't. The ball doesn't cross the line, and it's a good goal for me.
Was that you not having a rant?
You should hear me at home when dinner's not on the table.
No, but Honduras really had a case then.
I think you're going to see more chances for Honduras. I think they've got to push forward, Brazil. It's going to be very open and entertaining, and we'll see if they've got enough attacking prowess to break them down.
Well, Brazil just can't get a look in at the moment. They've really been unsettled. Perez, the neutrals in the crowd are loving it, seeing the boys from Brazil struggling.
Don't think they've got a vested interest here.
They're going to get a corner now. Tercios has been an integral figure in Honduras' success in this tournament, and what can they make of this? Brazil on the back foot, trailing by 1-0, and having to defend for their lives at the moment.
I think Tercios had a perfectly good goal there. He was the one that got across the front of Marcos again, touching it near post.
Did he try and score straight from a corner there?
I think he did, a little bit outside the boot, and you know.
Well, the Hondurans are leading Big Phil's Brazil, and no wonder he's on his walkie-talkie to his coaches down on the touchline. Scolari, remember, banned from the dugout for a game after being shown a red card against Paraguay. When Brazil equalised in that game, he made an offensive gesture to the referee. He needs another equaliser here.
Certainly not a situation where Brazil need to panic yet. Still a long time to go in the game, 25. But what they do need to do is start to get some pressure on, and not. I hate teams attacking in 1s and 2s and even 3s. You need to attack as a team. You know, get bodies up there. You know, get Juninho, Pambricano, Emerson pushing in, squeezing from behind, so you get wave upon wave of attack, and that's when you break teams down, because eventually, if you keep teams defending, they will make errors. But when they can defend in, you know, single attacks, they can get their breather and make sure they're nice and composed. When they're tired is when defenders make mistakes.
Well, Honduras are passing the ball around like the Brazil of old, and no wonder that another change is going to be made by the Brazilians, and they're going to bring on a man who's scored goals across Europe. Mario Jardel hasn't looked particularly good when he's had opportunities in this tournament, mind you, but he does get goals galore, and Eduardo Costa is coming off. They've really got to go for it now. Just 1 point from earlier, Junior was shown a yellow card, and he, like Eduardo Costa, would miss the semi-final if Brazil progressed, but that's looking like a big if at the moment. Yeah,
and you were talking about they look like the Brazilian side. It's, you know, when you think about Brazil being 1-0 down against Paraguay, when they got that goal up, suddenly it was a different Brazil side. We were seeing popping the ball about, plenty of invention, plenty of creativity, and football's very much a confidence game. And these days, at this level, such a fine line between, you know, being confident on the ball and being that much more aggressive with your passing. You can afford to do that when you're 1 goal up. And here's their last throw of the dice, really, for me. They're going to go all guns blazing, and Jardel will certainly give them a bit more of an aerial threat.
Well, he banged in a few for Benfica and Galatasaray, just gone to Marseille. Never really cracked it with the big clubs in Europe, but a prolific scorer nonetheless, although in the opening game of this tournament he wasn't particularly interested against Mexico and was taken off at half-time, as indeed was Juninho in that game. And although Juninho was a central figure for Brazil for most of this half, Honduras are running the show at the moment, and Emerson, the Brazilian captain, is trying to do something about that.
I did say that Brazil only won 2 games out of 10 in 2001 before the Copa, and you know, the performance against Mexico, although the other games maybe hid that, you know, that was a worrying performance for me from Brazil, and there is obviously some underlying problems in the Brazilian football, and I know they're missing a lot of players from overseas, but you know, I think they're clearly in a transition period, you know, and they need to do something quickly about it, or else they won't be seeing the beautiful Brazilian football we all love to see at World Cup finals in Japan and Korea.
Belletti. And it did come off him, in fact. It's going to be a goal kick. Really frustrating for Brazil at the moment. We are at the midway point of the second half, and incredibly, the minnows of Honduras lead the once mighty Brazil in the quarter-final of the 2001 Copa America. How the mighty have fallen. And they're going to take off Tercios, which is a bit of a surprise. Honduras coming on in his place is Mario Rodriguez.
Yeah, and we've seen him play before. He played when they have had to chase the game at times. He would just sit in that role and just be a defensive block in front of the back three, and just give him, you know, certainly won't be as adventurous as Tercios would have been. And it's a very sensible play by Madariaga. Hasn't got to chase the game, and they've got to not just get one goal, they've got to get 2 goals, you know, really, because otherwise, you know, I think Madariaga could certainly be houses succeeding in getting them into the you know, the penalty shootout with Brazil.
Nelson felt it should be going his way, but it doesn't, as he and Perez are on collision course. And how are Brazil going to get themselves out of this? Are they going to get themselves out of this? We shall find out over the next 21 minutes or so.
What I do think they need to do is get a bit more width to their game. You know, it's important that they don't get, you know, going always down the middle of teams. It's very, very difficult. You get bodies in there. It's really difficult to get that 1-2. Good ball in.
Juninho's centre, and Guillermo was waiting.
When they've got Willian, they've got Jardel there, and they'll thrive on service from wide. So it's important that Juninho and Junior, you know, and Belletti, they really do try and get in wide areas and deliver from behind, you know, the Honduran fullbacks, or, you know, wing-backs in this case.
Juninho has sent it in, and Junior ready to have a go! Blistering strike from Junior. It's a goal kick.
Yeah, I think the keeper had it covered. Again, excellent challenge. I think that's Guevara there, back throwing his body in the way, and it hits just the upright on the back of the net. Good strike there from Junior.
Honduras 20 minutes away from a place in the semi-finals and a clash with Colombia, but it will feel like the longest 20 minutes of their lives, I'm sure, if Brazil do manage to recover from that goal, which has totally almost knocked them senseless. An own goal from Belletti, although Martinez will do his best to claim it and probably fail. But Honduras will remember this day if they manage to pull off such a remarkable result. But you can never write off Brazil, I suppose. Belletti, that's more like it from him, although the cross wasn't.
Oh, it's a woeful cross. I have to say, Garcia made the cardinal sin of committing himself there when the ball was played out from Juninho to Belletti, and he committed himself. He's never going to get there. It was a simple tap pass, and then he just knocked it a bit too far ahead of him. But when the vital moment of, you know, the quality ball in just wasn't there, and that's been a feature of their play tonight, Brazil. I don't think they've had enough quality ball into the final third. They really haven't done it. They've tried the odd 1-2. It's looked nice. They painted pretty pictures on the pitch at times. How many opportunities have they had to make Valladares make a save? You know, and they haven't done it. They haven't either created a chance or really tested from long range.
Another poor showing from Brazil, and there's been a few poor showings in the year 2001 from these supposed footballing giants. Juninho Pernambucano, goalkeeper not troubled at all by that. He knew exactly where it was going, and it was going nowhere as far as Brazil are concerned.
Well, I think he's been troubled really twice in the game. First one was a very weak shot from Alex that came off his chest, and you know, that's almost been the sum total of it, and the shot from Juninho that they really didn't have to do much with.
Belletti. Brazil did come back against Paraguay, left it late to get their clinching goals, mind you. They have won the last 2 Copa America tournaments. They were looking for a hat-trick, and it's only been done once before, 3 in a row, by their fierce rivals Argentina as well, back in the 40s. Here's Junior. If they do get through, if they somehow get themselves out of this, Junior and Eduardo Costa would be out of the semi-final as well, so they'd face more problems. Denilson.
And to be fair, Denilson's faded badly this half for me. You know, it was bright for 20 minutes in the first half, but then it wasn't hungry enough, maybe didn't get enough of the ball, and you can always blame service, but world-class players, you know, make things happen in important games, and this is a vitally important game for Brazil. You know, as I say, they're in a bit of a transition. They may be in danger of missing out on World Cup qualification. This would be a big lift to everyone in the country, especially how passionate they are about it.
Well, here goes Denilson. He probably owes his country something, although he has got them goals in this tournament, and that's a little awkward for Valladares, and it's going to be a corner.
He's poor handling at a vital moment from Valladares, and he's done that a couple of times. I mentioned the shot from Alex that came off his chest the first half. You know, and he's got to be stronger than this. OK, Jardel's there, but he's not done anything really. It's just poor handling.
It's Denilson who delivers, and it's a decent corner. And Valladares that time does scoop it up as Emerson tried to make the most of it for Brazil.
Well, his mishandling was nearly very, very costly. I mean, defenders do very well. I think it's Caballero gets his body in the way there. Yeah, just gets a good challenge on Caballero there.
Here's Denilson again. Perez read that situation, and the Brazilians are getting no support whatsoever from the neutrals in the crowd as Julio Leon looks to finish them off. Forced a little wide though, and Chris... Well, Leon has actually moved away from Chris, and Leon with a chance to put Honduras 2 up, and Marcos with what could turn out to be a rather vital block.
Well, it's a marvellous block. I certainly think Leon should have done better, and he's come into the fore on the break. He really has set up the goal with the ball in, and again Chris goes to the ground. He doesn't need to. The referee doesn't give the foul, and Leon with a wonderful opportunity.
Juninho though, oh what a run from Juninho, right on the edge of the area.
I'm not sure, that looked very, very close. I think the referee's probably right, but it looked very, very close.
It was a tight one. Juninho might have been encouraging a challenge as well.
Yeah, just outside. It's a cynical trip as well, definitely. It's a cynical trip. Well, Denilson not even going over to look at it, so he's not obviously involved in it.
Well, Juninho is though.
It's a little worrying for me, the 2 Brazilians standing on the edge of the box there with no one even near them.
Might go back to one of them, might it? Juninho straight against the wall, gets a second chance, straight through to the keeper.
See, I just don't think that's set up for a right footer there. I mean, he's also closing his angle down more by popping the ball 3 or 4 yards to the man in front of him. I think it was Pembricano, and then trying to whip it round the wall there. Just it narrows the angle. It's definitely a left footer there for me. I thought Denilson would have been more than a favourite for that.
Although his left foot couldn't keep that in, and Brazil continue to be frustrated as we see again Leon's chance.
Yeah, I think there may have been a shove there though. He has a bit more time than he thinks. Again, Martinez in a good position, but Leon goes for the shot. Marcos makes a good block. Just on Denilson now, I think I did mention in the first half that what Perez I'd be saying to my defenders is, you know, he wants to go on his left side. He does that trick where he you know, the step over, the lollipop, whatever you like to call it, but he always goes on his left. And to be fair, what Perez is doing is just watching the ball. If you watch the ball, he'll have every opportunity of making the tackle, which he's done.
Juninho trying to get in, but it's hooked away by Perez. Now Belletti. But he's lost out, and Brazil losing their way. 13 minutes to save themselves in the Copa America. Just don't rule them out just yet. Here's Juninho Pernambucano. They'll launch another assault with Denilson. He's gone past Perez this time, but what a woeful delivery from Denilson.
Yeah, just a few little signs of a bit of nervousness in the Honduran defence, a few rash clearances, a few poor decisions from defenders at times, and again there, Denilson, Perez getting too tight to Denilson, allowing him to get on the outside of him, but just fortunately when you expect a left foot, a £23 million left foot to deliver a quality ball, he puts it high, wide and not so handsome.
I have to say, having seen him quite a bit for his club, Real Betis, a couple of years back, and for his country, I can't imagine why he's worth £23 million, to be honest, Denilson, but Brazil will try again and probably go bang one in now. Jardel not having much joy.
Yes, it's a good idea, but I think it was Belletti whipped the ball in there, but it's a bit deep again, you know, and again it's in front of defenders. What you want to do is get that ball down that side, that little 10-15 yards from the byline, deliver from there, and that means defenders are facing their own goal and always very nervous.
Brazil need a moment of magic from somewhere, or they will be going out of the Copa America. Junior, Emerson, Belletti advancing again. Another absolutely awful cross.
And his teammates are letting him know about it. A bit of dissension in the ranks. You know, it's a poor ball in. You know, really, he's got to put it in there. He's got to drop it somewhere between the posts. However far it's got to be, you can accept it hitting the front man the odd time, but that's 2 or 3 he's put way out the back stick. And, you know, for this sort of quality football, you expect better than that.
Well, Brazil may have won their last 2 games against Peru and Paraguay, but I don't think many people in Brazil thought they'd particularly turn the corner that much. They left it led against Paraguay, of course. And here they are struggling again. Honduras with Martinez, but he's offside.
Well, I think you were mentioning Scolari's whimsical quotes, and he may find himself caught short halfway through the main course.
They're offside against Martinez. Now Denilson. It's about time he came up with something. They'll get a corner. They'll have some hope here. Denilson goes for the short one to Junior. But again, Honduras comfortably survive. And not only that, they break away themselves. And here goes Martinez, and this time he's onside. Martinez for Honduras. Can he go all the way? He can't, and I wonder if he'll come to rue that if Brazil manage to bail themselves out.
Well, total mix-up in the defending. I think Chris steps up. I think the other one dropping off. I think it was one dropping off. Nelf offside. Martinez is clean from goal. Just at the vital moment, he outstrips the defence actually with his pace. Just at the vital moment, he lets the ball get a bit behind him. He has to drag a half-hit shot, comes it in the hands of Marcos.
Emerson, the captain, trying to show the way for Brazil. They'll settle for the corner, which Juninho will take.
Just sit here. He just doesn't get a big enough touch out of his feet. He gets behind him there. He's trying to drag it forward of him. He just gets a half-hit shot. Just a poor touch there, didn't set him up.
Still no goal to call his own. Martinez. In comes the corner, and Juan was there. And Valladares punches it away from Jardel.
Yeah, the height advantage that they've certainly got is starting to take a little bit of toll here. Again, good delivery from Juninho.
Juninho floats it in again with Jardel and Juan trying to get in on the end of it. Denilson. Leon trying to stick with him. Denilson getting away from him. Support from Junior. Honduras defending for their lives, but Juninho sends it through, and Juninho gets it back. Ooh, So nearly from Juninho.
I think they think that's a corner. Here's a great chance. I think that's one, hitting it back across goal. And Emerson, excellent fist away from Valladares there. It's a red card.
Well, the red card count increases in the competition. There was a bit of afters after Juninho had that attempt on goal, and
I think it's Garcamo. I think it's the captain Garcamo.
The red card has been shown.
Well, the plot thickens now if they do get a send-off. That's Emerson coming to the side for treatment, but it's definitely Garcamo who's got a straight red card. Don't know quite what went on there. It was obviously maybe a very late challenge on Juninho.
Well, Honduras, well, I suppose if they were going to beat Brazil, and Emerson has been shown a red too. Let's see if we get a view of it here. The two of them are right on the edge of the box there. A bit of a tangle. Oh.
Looks like he gets his foot caught in there, Emerson, although looks to push it a little bit, and Garcamo just kicking out. I have to say, this is not really to the advantage of the Honduras, although it would make the pitch big. You know, the last thing needs another man to be sent off, and Garcamo's one of their key defenders. Wouldn't be surprised me if Madariaga makes a change here and maybe brings on a more defensive-minded player.
Well, Juninho now for Brazil, and Junior will take over. Emerson, the captain, then sent off, and Garcamo off as well for Honduras. Both teams down to 10 men. Here's Denilson. Brazil running out of time. And if Brazil do manage to draw level and somehow manage to get themselves out of this, they're going to be missing Emerson, Junior and Eduardo Costa in the semi-final, whereas Garcamo will obviously miss out for Honduras if they get there.
I will say, we all talk about the wonderful skills that Denilson has and his ability to manipulate the ball. What about his end product in his second half? You know, he's done the step over once or twice. To be fair to Perez, he stood up to him. There again, you see Nimrod and Medina just stand up and watch him. And there's no end product when there's good bodies in the body. Here's a chance.
Coletti. Now this could happen for Brazil. Oh, what a vital interception from Caballero, because it was going to carry to Juninho, who had made his way into the box. Here's Jardel. Denilson, an enthralling end to this quarter-final with Brazil chasing the game. Both teams down to 10 men. Honduras are clinging on as Guilherme tries to bundle his way through. Jardel is there, and still it won't go in as Belletti tries for goal. It comes off Valladares and springs over the bar, and the keeper reckons he's injured.
Well, I think that's a bit of time wasting, but I'll tell you what, if you look at Jardel here with his opportunity, if he'd have had his eyes about him and been very aware, just a little 2-yard ball into the path of Belletti. Just here you see it, look, if he gets his eyes open, look, just a little 2-yard pass, he gives Belletti time to there. He slips him a late ball, or it's reflected to him, no chance. Great block by the keeper, Valladares. There it is. If he just slipped it wide, Belletti would have had a clear shot at goal. He has to take a touch. Great keeping by Valladares. Spreads himself big.
Well, what an end to this game. Brazil trailing little Honduras. Brazil second in the FIFA rankings. Honduras down at 48. But certainly not 46 places between them tonight. And the tension rising. With Valladares needing treatment, Brazil have to wait to take their corner. Both teams, remember, down to 10 men after red cards were shown at Emerson and also to Garcamo following a tangle on the edge of the area. The referees in this tournament haven't messed around with any sort of set twos like that. 20 red cards in all.
Well, if the result continues as it is in, I think the Colombians in the crowd will just be having a little bit something extra in their coffee tonight.
Brazil try again. Away by Caballero, and Leon trying to lead the Honduran charge, but he couldn't quite force it through to Martinez. Juninho. A handball cry, but Honduras holding firm. It's time to put bodies in the way. It's time to go through the pain barrier because Honduras are close to pulling off perhaps the most amazing result in their history, even though Brazil are not quite as good as they once were. Medina is going to be in need of treatment not long after the goalkeeper was. We might see a bit of this, although it's merely prolonging the agony. And agony for both teams at the moment. Juninho's got a bit to say.
I think he does get a little nasty knock here. Studs catch him on the shin area.
Honduras are going to make another change, but Luis Felipe Scolari and Brazil are on their way out of the Copa America unless they can find a way to get themselves out of this major predicament. Leon is going to make way as Honduras make a change just to use up a couple of seconds, I dare say. And a rather bizarre delay to the proceedings again. Junior Izaguirre is on for Julio Leon. And we haven't had any action now for best part of a minute and a half.
I think the Colombians in the crowd will be baying for 1 minute on the clock. I think there'll be a few more than that, but interesting to see how many he puts up. And they've pressed and probed, and you know, for me, when it gets this late in the game, there's a chance.
Juninho Pernambucano, and through it goes. Belletti's cross away by Caballero, but here's Juninho Pernambucano, and Honduras once again get in the way, and it's a corner, and it's an absolutely amazing finale to this contest.
Yeah, lovely disguise from Pernambucano there. Good little ball out wide. I thought it should have been delivered first time. It wasn't. Again, he got the opportunity to get blocked.
Referee having words with his linesman, and he's going to call somebody to him, I think. No, it's not going to be another red, is it? He's got his yellow out, thankfully. And it's Medina who is shown a yellow card. He's rather bemused by it all, though he's not the only one inside this stadium. Here comes the corner. Brazil in dire need of a goal. Juninho Pernambucano swings it in, but Honduras hanging on with seconds of normal time remaining. Juninho Pernambucano tries again, but Caballero is a rock back there, and Honduras are close to beating Brazil, and they've got a free kick which will take them a few seconds, but look at that, 5 minutes of added on time.
Yeah, I think Madariaga won't be able to believe it. I think they call him El Primitivo because he's got a bit of a character face. There'll be a few more lines on it after this game, I'm sure.
Here's Denilson, who's taken the captain's armband from Emerson, but he's run into trouble, and he looked for a free kick, which he obviously wasn't going to get.
Well, again, good skill to come inside, then a poor touch, overruns it, and he gets a firm tackle on him. And for me, he's been disappointing in the second half. And Juninho for 25-30 minutes was outstanding, looked a real bright hope. But when they've been chasing the game, they just haven't had enough quality here. It's a silly giveaway here from Honduras, so they concede possession, and it will go across the other width of the pitch and straight down. Nice and direct now, I think, from Belletti.
And Scolari up in the stands. We'll be hoping that somehow his charges can sneak an equaliser and force a penalty shootout. Here's Junior right across, but once again Honduras and Medina sticking close to Creme, and the seconds tick away, but 5 minutes of added on time. Brazil could still do it. This is no time to have to put the flag back in.
No, I think he took the flag out. That's what the referee's blowing the whistle at.
Everybody jostles for position. Iain with a firm fist on it. And then Junior unable to latch onto it, but he might get to this. It's panic stations for Brazil now. It's hit and hope time almost. Juninho. Belletti, or rather Juan, but he's... Well, that just typifies the quality of the cross. Is actually going to stay in. So maybe it's not all over for Brazil yet. Denilson. Well, that was poor from him. He really does flatter to deceive at times.
Oh, look at where Pembricano is. He's waiting to deliver the ball in the box. Here's an opportunity. He won't catch him when he gets away. Strong Martinez. Here goes Martinez, looking to finish off Brazil. He might get a penalty as he goes to ground. Martinez, he doesn't. And still Brazil hang on with just a couple of minutes of added on time remaining. What an end to the game. Quite extraordinary. And Honduras are on the verge of a very, very memorable result. But hang on, no, that's gone straight over the top, straight through. I'll take that. Yeah, good pace shown by Belletti there. But he was almost too honest there, didn't go down at the first contact. And by that time, Belletti was alongside him. Brazil have been drawn to hitting long, hopeful balls up the middle.
Well, many people thought it would be a Colombia-Brazil semi-final. At the moment, it's a Colombia-Honduras semi-final. I think even the Colombians might have fancied facing Brazil at the moment and given them a bit of a battering, perhaps. But Honduras, it is, who could well be next for the host nation, Colombia, unless Brazil here can get themselves out of serious, big-time trouble. But they haven't got too many chances left, and they're not going to do it like that. And Guevara, it's just a question of hanging on to the ball, really, for Honduras, who are trying to bring on another sub to waste a few seconds. Of course, they could, having said that, move in and get a second. It's Perez, and it's Martinez! He's done it! Honduras go 2 up in injury time. That has finished off Brazil. The fallen giants of world football are heading out of the Copa America, and unlikely as it seems, Honduras, the minnows, are heading through to a semi-final showdown with Colombia, and they have had here the night of their lives.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And Martinez, if anyone, to be on the end of it. So much he really has tried hard to break people down. Great run again by Perez, wonderful composure. The first time in this tournament from Martinez, slips a lovely finish away, but it's fantastic now play from the man of the match for me, Perez. He's been absolutely superb defensively against Denilson, and here he pops up with a wonderful pacey run this late in the game. Good take, lovely little lift over the keeper.
It's all over now for Brazil. There is no way back this time. Referee has had a look at his watch. It's all over. Honduras have beaten Brazil, and you can be sure they're going to milk the moment. The most remarkable result in the history of this small footballing nation. Brazil are not the team they used to be, but Honduras have put in a performance of sheer strength, power, and a bit of skill involved as well. But Brazilian football lurches into complete crisis again. It finishes sensationally in Manizales. Brazil 0, Honduras 2.
Wait for the fallout to start, but it does mean the semi-final lineup.